Well, hi everyone, this is Dr. Schroeder with this week's video introduction to week number 5 of our course in the Theoretical Foundations of Teaching. And this week, the primary focus of the discussion was on, um, evaluation methods, and we kind of touched on a lot of areas. Of course, the discussion question itself focuses on this concept of Socratic questioning, which is essentially just a process where students are questions and are asked questions to help to assess and ascertain their learning. And Socratic questioning is used in a variety of different contexts. It is used oftentimes in conjunction with, for example, case studies or in clinical simulation. It can be useful in not only assessment, but also just in helping students to gain and to understand and to develop critical thinking skills, helping to lead them to ask the correct questions or asking questions that will elicit deeper thinking, or as I like to say, kind of peel back the layers of the onion a little bit, to go a little bit deeper. Um, One of the things that was brought out in discussion, and I think it's an important topic as we're talking about instruction, is that you want as much as possible for students to discover and explore their own learning as opposed to being given an answer to every question. That's another reason why we use Socratic questioning. Um, it is better to have the students go and find information in response to a question and guide them to where to find the information as opposed to giving them the answers to every question that comes up. And that tends to be something that is very common with novice instructors in particular, because, as teachers, we like to teach, we like to share our knowledge, we like to be viewed as the expert, and we know that we're the expert in our areas. And so a lot of times we want to jump on that, giving that feedback right away, because it kind of sort of strokes our egos a little bit because we're the experts, and also because sometimes it feels like that's really what we need to do. We have a desire to want to give the students the information that we have and have this transfer of knowledge. But really, the best way, and the evidence shows that the best way for students to get knowledge is experientially through discovering it themselves. So sometimes, actually withholding our knowledge, sometimes withholding when we know the right answer and helping the student to discover that answer for themselves, is really the best intervention, and that's really the best way uh, to make sure that the learning, the needed learning, takes place. So very good week of discussion. And again, I would imagine that I should have the discussion grading for this week completed sometime by midweek, certainly by the weekend. Um, and in week number 5, we're going to move on to, really an assignment that helps you with your teaching plan this week. Of course, the big thing in week number 5 is that your teaching plans are due. And you were first introduced to this back in week 3, and we're kind of given a prompt that you should start your teaching plans in week 3. It is a rather long assignment. It's a long assignment with many different parts. I've answered some questions in the discussion question. But what you are going to be doing is developing a teaching plan. And every instructor for every class they teach really has to develop a teaching plan. Teaching without a plan is, it is set up for disaster for both you and for the students, because unless you have a good plan, unless you know what it is that you're going to teach and what that content of the teaching is going to be, and the instructional methods that you're going to use to teach the material, if you don't have a plan set up, it becomes very haphazard, and everybody becomes very unsure of what it is that they're going to be doing. And so, having that teaching plan really is an important part of the repertoire the teachers have when they're teaching a class. So, you're going to be developing the course, following the guidelines. Um, Remember that part of it is going to contain an outline. The outline should be single spaced. Check the rubric, check the assignment. The assignment is very well described, and so it's pretty straightforward. I've given some clarification in the discussion questions, but as long as you follow the rubric and as long as you follow the assignment description pretty closely, you should do just fine with it. Remember, 8 to 10 pages here. It is a relatively long assignment. That page numbers does not necessarily include the appendices that you may have. Um, and so just be aware of that. And if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Um, and the discussion question is going to be on finding evidence. Just like everything else in nursing, everything that we do in nursing education is or should be supported in the evidence that the interventions that we're using, or rather the instructional methods that we're using, are have been shown by research to be effective and to be the most effective for the type of student that we're teaching and the level of understanding that we want that student to gain. So that is going to be your task this week. As always, I look forward to participating right along with you in the discussion questions. I hope everybody has a great week. If you have any questions about the teaching plan, go ahead and let me know. Everybody have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you in the discussion forums.